when and why did you have to leave your country?
The more that I was getting the attention and I was speaking up against all the challenges that women were facing in a very young age. I'm talking about I was 20, on my 20s. And for a country that were like right after the Taliban, the first time that they took over the country, and for 8 years the women were in the country were not allowed to go out without being fully covered.
Yeah.
People were punished, were killed for just watching TV or listening to music. So 8 years of like darkness in the country, and then when the NATO and international allies entered Afghanistan, so it was very beginning of the development in our country. So people were still, the culture was not ready to see young women sitting there and talking about women's rights, about child marriage, about women should have the right to play sports, and talking about football, which is very, it's our first game in Afghanistan, is still seen as man's game, and it's still something that they feel very sensitive when it comes to football. It's just man's game, and women should not be even near to that game. So talking so much about these topics, it was a warning for a man in a household to see their daughters watching me, listening to me. It was threatening for them, and talking about corruption and how corruption is affecting life of women and inclusion of women in the society. And I was calling the name of people in leadership that was involved in corruption, which was so dangerous. Of course, it was brave for me, for a young girl, to actually sit there in national TV and have this conversation, where many people were not there to have these conversations. I was speaking how it's affecting our lives, and that's where the more I was speaking up, the more I was losing freedom. I was not able to even go out of home without having security people around me or someone who could stay with me. I was not allowed or able to be in public places because I was constantly receiving phone calls, messages, death threats, until it was so dangerous for me, because there was several attempts and attacks that I'm so grateful, and I think I'm lucky I survived and they didn't manage to shoot me.
Because you had a purpose that you are carrying.
Yeah, my purpose saved me, and it became quite dangerous because the rumors started that I am promoting a non-Islamic and non-religious culture in Islamic culture, which is quite sensitive in a country and a culture that is very strict when it comes to religion. And that's where it started being very dangerous. And my family was so much under pressure and attacked. They faced several challenges separately, my family members, until the time that it was way too dangerous for me to stay. So for me to survive and stay alive and save my voice, I had to leave Afghanistan with my backpack as a journey for a refugee. Like so many refugees, no choices. Sometimes when we talk about refugees, it's like when you don't have a choice, you become a refugee. And this is what I was thinking today. I was walking down here. It's not about having choice. You don't have a choice. That's why the only way you have is become a refugee, and it's a human act. And that's how my journey as a refugee started in Europe.
And you have started a foundation in Denmark. Tell me about it.
I lived in different refugee centers in Denmark, and also I was for a bit in Norway, lived in refugee centers and experienced the whole system, how traumatizing it is, but how isolating it is, because it's taking the potential from people, because you're waiting for unknown. You're already traumatized what happened in your country, what happened in your life, all the losses, and then you end up in the middle of nowhere. Still, I'm grateful that, of course, when in comparison to so many other refugee camps around the world, Denmark and Norway was much better.
Right.
But it doesn't mean like it's perfect,
No.
right? For any human being, right? And so waiting for unknown, the trauma that you experience in the refugee center, and the energy down there, because everybody is going through the same, so it's so much heavy energy. For me, I was going through depression. That was first time I felt a deep depression, where I was thinking and doubting about everything in life, and about even questioning my being in the world. And once again, what helped me to overcome that trauma was sport, the power of sport that saved me in Afghanistan and saved me in refugee centers, when